Alfred, perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your journey from where you were when you were living in the woods to how you've gotten to where you are today, and what was fundamentally important to you in that journey.
Well, I put on like 35 pounds. I have teeth coming, and also my teeth. Got my health back. I still have health issues, but getting my health back. Learning how to live better, you know. Got hope for the future.
How was that process for the time you met Mike and you came into the system and began getting help? What was that like for you to go through that process?
It was awful until Mike helped me. We had a VA rep, which is now retired, but he wouldn't do anything. He just, it's in the works, it's in the works. It just took forever, you know. Finally, the last 2 months, I got the ball rolling. You know, it just took so long to get started. Mike's the one to help me.
Could you tell us what services were the most valuable to this process? What did you find the most helpful? What did you learn each step of the way?
Be patient, I think that's the hardest thing for me.
Why is that the hardest thing?
Because I should have been where I'm at now a year ago. I just got to learn to be patient. One doctor at the VA says, well, they're passing the buck. The other said, they're passing the buck. I said, I'm the buck, you know. That's the way it seems to me, you know. It's just, but I just have a really good friend that moved in the building with me. He worked for the VA for years. He's great with the computer. He's helping everybody get, you know, the pensions and stuff. The VA, they're just slow. You know, this person, he worked for the VA. Now he's, you know, in the building with me, and some people make like $100 grand a year, and he does it, you know, maybe buying some cigarettes or some good food. He does it, you know, because he's a good guy. They make $100 grand a year, and they hardly do anything. VA people. It's difficult.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about the experience of working with people like Alfred and how that process works and what it's like for you?
It's very interesting. I'm fortunate that I do not sit at a desk and I don't stay in an office all day long. My office is that big blue truck that you see out back, and I have the ability to go to the veteran. So when I call someone or they call me and I start talking to them, one of the strangest things I say, like, well, can I come out and see you? And there's usually seems like about a 5-minute silence, but it's probably, you know, about 15 seconds. But then they say, really, you're going to come see me? And I'm like, yeah, let me come to you. So we go out, I meet the veteran, and basically what I try to do is find a way to connect, find a thing, find something useful, do an assessment, find out what's going on with the person, and see if there's something that I can help solve at that time. So if I'm able to solve something for them, then I become an ally. And once you become an ally, you know, then they start coming to you for other things, and then the real problems start coming out as you start dealing with, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, you have to have safety, a place to sleep, and comfort, and food.
Explain what Maslow's hierarchy of needs is.
Maslow was a psychologist that made a hierarchy of needs that dealt with mental health issues. And basically, you cannot expect someone to go to therapy and talk about the things that are bothering them if they don't know where they're going to lay their head tonight, if they don't know where their next meal is coming from, if they don't have any comfort in a place that they can feel safe at. So you have to fulfill those needs first, and you have to do those types of things to help make them comfortable. Once they start feeling a bond with you and some safety and feel that you are an ally, then they'll start talking about some things, and you can start getting down to the real issues that are really causing some of the symptoms.
Speaking of symptoms, can you talk a little bit more about, you talked about the symptomology and what to look for. What happens once the veteran reaches you? Mike talked about bringing the veteran into the system. What's necessary to build your relationship to make it effective working with the veteran? Is it different from the way you might treat other patients that deal with PTSD issues?
Okay, so what I hear you saying is that you want to know not only what are the symptoms that they present that we went over in terms of PTSD symptoms, but what maybe makes this work a little different.
Correct.
What makes this work different certainly is the level of intensity. I would have to say hands down to anyone who is thinking about working with this population, it is an intense population. One of the things that I believe Michael Bargiband and
Alfred
Alfred both mentioned was there being a trust factor, and that is critical. That is absolutely critical in the relationship, as it is certainly important in all therapeutic relationships. With this population, there is a great mistrust, and so you've really got to establish a trusting relationship. I find that these folks have, besides having a multitude of issues, their issues are very, very intense. I said earlier that one of the things we do in our agency is to do both a violence risk assessment and a suicide risk assessment. I can tell you that in my personal experience, we test all of our patients, but by far the veterans that I have worked with have tested and scored much higher on those lethality and risk assessments than the general population. Given that, we are seeing them much more often. It is pretty commonplace for me to see a veteran who has not received services previously, and I'm just starting to work with them. It is nothing at all uncommon for me to see them 3 times, 4 times a week. In addition to making myself available by phone or hooking them with a crisis hotline. So I would say that that is probably the greatest difference, is availability, intensity, and establishing a trusting relationship. Would that seem?
Friday I went out, I'm on pass, a 3-day pass, but they asked me 2 questions before I left. Do you want to hurt yourself or do you want to hurt anybody? I said, oh, no, I'm just going to see some friends, do some recon.
One of the biggest things is it's hard for the culture of the military is I'm tough, I'm going to take care of myself, I'm going to take care of my friends. It's not in the culture to ask for help. So it's very difficult to get that to happen. Thus you have an event like we have here today, the stand down, the Mason-Dixon 4th annual stand down. What we have this for is to bring folks into an environment where you're not just walking in an office and feel like you're under the microscope, people looking at you. You come out here, you join fellow veterans, we have food, we have entertainment, you can bring your family, you can bring your children. So we start building that bond. It's a 3-day event. So we start building that bond. That's how we got Alfred. And we brought him in. Alfred came to us out of the woods. And all I kept saying to him all day long, please don't leave, please don't leave, please don't leave. And I kept people with him all day just to keep him, make sure he was here. And once he established that bond through those 3 days, then he came into Forbes Hall, which is the only transitional shelter on the eastern shore of Maryland. It's 13 beds. 10 of them are sanctioned and funded by the VA, and 3 of them are by private and businesses and private people that actually believe in the cause and help us. So what it does is it helps us to get that in, so that we can finally get those things started. And then once we have them, then we start hooking them up with all the different services and all the different mental health and things like that. And it's not when a friend's telling you, hey, trust this lady, she's going to help you, then you have a little better chance of getting them to listen. And Alfred's here a year later. Alfred came into us a year ago today. And here he is a year later. This is a whole different man, a whole different man. And he's not only helped himself, he's helped so many other people in the program, and living testimony to what can happen and what should happen.
And those veterans who come in can look to Alfred as a role model, and that gives them hope and inspiration as well.
Exactly.
That's very important.